Hello, this is Brett Lonsdale from Lightning Tools, and thank you very much for joining my webinar this afternoon. This is on the SharePoint discussion forum, the Social Squared product that we provide. So yeah, thanks again for joining. The webinar should take approximately 40 minutes to an hour, depending on questions and so on, and will hopefully enlighten you as to what our Social Squared product can provide your organization, and hopefully give you the opportunity to see it and also to ask any questions about the product as we go through. Just a couple of housekeeping tips. If you do have any questions that you'd like to ask, then please raise your hand. You'll notice inside the GoToWebinar software that there is the ability to raise your hand, and if you do that, I'll be able to unmute you and you'll be able to ask your question. If you are shy in nature and don't want to do that, then I will be providing my my email address and also Twitter account. I'll be keeping half an eye on those as I go through the webinar. So if there is something that you do want to ask, then please feel free to ask it. Okay, so yeah, what we're going to do is make a start. Let's have a look at Social Squared and see what that product is all about. So first of all, we'll introduce Social Squared, why Social Squared is of value to organizations. So we'll have a look at what it can provide, what the benefits of Social Squared are, and there's only about 6 slides in this whole presentation. The majority of it is going to be hands-on and having a look at the actual product. So we'll take a look at the product, and again, that'll give you plenty of time at the end of the webinar to ask any questions that you might have. Okay. So there we are, halfway through the slides already. So why Social Squared? First of all, just a few things that I think every organization suffers from in each department. One of them is the volume of emails that we get, and obviously email can't be avoided. I think in lots of places I know there are some companies that don't email each other internally. They only allow external email and so on. I'm not necessarily going that far, but it's certainly worth looking at reducing the volume of email that we get and exposing some of the information that is trapped inside our inboxes as well. So if I do have an opinion on something, or if I have a question to ask, it's first port of call is usually email. I'm going to email Fred about this particular question, and he's going to email me back an answer, when there could have been 30 people that all had the same question in their minds. So if I'd have asked it publicly within a discussion forum, then everybody would be able to see that same answer, or be able to search for that answer as well in the future. So yeah, email is also intrusive. Likewise is instant messaging. Today I've been sat here at my desk and trying to get things done, and every few minutes you hear that dreaded chirp, and there's somebody asking a question on Skype, or another email popping into your inbox. And majority of it isn't urgent. It doesn't require interrupting myself. It's something that could just be, like I say, asked in a central area and responded to there. So useful information is often not shared. It's often locked in inside people's inboxes, whether it's a few different recipients or just one recipient. Normally you can have a whole conversation going on inside an email thread that will be of real value to other people inside the company. That could be technical questions, it could be opinions that you have on things, or just general questions that you want to ask, maybe about human resource topics, or how do you claim expenses, anything like that could be something that's put into a central location. Also, using a discussion forum, you get the ability to search for content. So it doesn't go away. If anybody's familiar with using Twitter or Yammer or even Facebook, you tend to get that window. You look at the news feed, and you'll see some content that has been there for a day or two as you browse through it. But the way that a discussion forum is organized is into groups and forums. So the topics are organized into categories, so that they can be viewed at any point and they can be searched at any point as well. They don't disappear off of the thread within a day or two. So it acts as a knowledge base. It's a great place to go and seek information, whether it's via search or whether it's via tags or just browsing, you can get at the information that you want to see quite easily. We can also make this team site relevant content with Social Squared as well. So if anybody's looked at the community portal inside SharePoint, is kind of out of context. You have to create a site for the community portal or a site collection even. So with Social Squared, this is something that you can add as a web part onto any page. So if you have a sales team site and they would benefit from a discussion forum, you can add the Social Squared web part onto the sales team site. It's there then for them to pose questions amongst other sales team members. If you want to aggregate all of that information up into a central portal, you can do that as well. So you could create a central page and have all of the discussion forums and the groups displayed there so that everybody in the organization gets a good handle on what's going on inside the organization. The other thing to mention is also that Social Squared is soon to be released on a mobile phone, so you'll be able to use iOS or Android and even Windows phones in order to create posts, rate posts, reply to topics, that sort of thing. And it is also Office 365 available as well. So if anybody's looking at moving to SharePoint Online, we have the content available for that as well. Okay, so lots of benefits for using Social Squared. We have the ability to organize the topics into forum groups and forums. Each of the forum groups can be secured. You can specify who's the administrators of those forum groups. You can specify who the moderators are, and also block people from reading content inside a particular forum group if you want to. So the fact that they are grouped means that we can display relevant groups into the most relevant team sites, and the topics also allow us to display a better way of organizing the content so that users can find it more easily. Some of the features that we have are features that you would expect. If you've been using anything online for any type of forum, doesn't have to be a technical forum, but if you've used Stack Overflow or maybe car forums or something like that, you'll be familiar with some of these features. So the fact that you can create topics, get replies to topics, you can mark what you think is the best answer to that topic, or other members can do that. You can vote for the best topic, and you can also have featured posts as well. So if somebody provides you a really good answer and you want that to stand out above all the other answers that have been provided, then you can feature it and it will be highlighted. There's also gamification. So a new word, and it's even PowerPoint gave me a spelling error on that word. I think it's a word that was made up a little while ago. But basically what we're looking at is sort of encouragement to use the product. So we can create badges for the number of posts that people create, the number of replies that they make, or the number of replies that they mark as answered, the number of votes that they create, and so on. All of this counts towards points, and everybody wants to gain more points when they're using Social Squared. So this really helps with the adoption of Social Squared as well. There's other web parts that go with it that you'll see in just a moment, allowing people to see who the most popular poster was in a certain time period, what's the best topic, or what's been the most popular topic, and that sort of thing can all be displayed on the web part as well. And this is, again, all encouraging to go and use the product. It's also very customizable. So if you are looking at branding Social Squared, then we provide you the ability to completely customize the images, customize the look and feel through CSS, and also the user controls can also be customized. So if you don't like one of our links, you can remove it, or if you want to add something else, you can add that too. It's just very simple using the RCX controls. Performance is great as well. So little story, let's go back about 7 or 8 years when we first introduced Social Squared, back then in the form of a previous product called Storm Forums. Storm Forums ran on the back of a SharePoint list as the repository, and one of our very first customers was a big university in the United States with thousands of students and alumni students, and it didn't take long at all in order for them to kill that SharePoint list. The performance degraded. There were so many posts within one view inside the list that we rethought the product and came up with Social Squared. So Social Squared now has an SQL database repository that means you can have thousands of users or tens of thousands of users using the product. They can all be creating thousands of posts, and it's not going to cause any form of performance issue. So the other thing to mention is this is used throughout all SharePoint versions, whether you use SharePoint 2007 all the way up to 2013. If you're using SharePoint Foundations, you can use Social Squared. If you use the enterprise version of SharePoint, you can still benefit from using Social Squared as well. And like I mentioned, it's also now available for Office 365 SharePoint Online users, so that they can benefit from using the product also. So without further ado, let's take a look at the product. This is second but one slide, or the penultimate slide. So we're just going to go through and have a look at the product now and spend a bit of time in there. So here I've got a couple of sites that we're going to take a look at. We've got tech support, and we've also got London office, and we've also got an area where all of them can be aggregated as well. So let's just jump down to the London office. So Social Squared could be used by almost anybody inside an organization for multiple different business purposes. One of them might be that you've got offices throughout the world, and let's say you've got perhaps an office in London, or you've got an office in New York, and your employees visit those different locations quite regularly. It'd be a great thing to have, so people can see, you know, what's the best hotel to stay in when they travel to a different office, where can they go out to eat, that sort of thing. All right, and typically SharePoint realizes that I'm in a webinar, so it's just taking its time to go through and refresh, despite priming it moments beforehand. Okay, I think that that did just load. So yeah, there we go. So here we are inside the London office, and this is newly created today. So not much content within it. So let's just refresh the page, make sure we're seeing the right content here. Okay, so we can see some different forum groups. So inside the London office team site, we've got a few different forum groups. We've got a forum group for hotels, another forum group for eating out, one for transport, and so on. Towards the bottom, the recent topics always shows as well, so we can see what the most recent topics were. And like I said, there's a few other web parts that come with Social Squared as well. You've got the most active users in the last 30 days, what's the most popular discussion going on, and we've also got the tag cloud as well. So let's go in and navigate it, and then we'll have a look at how to configure the forum groups and the forums, and configure all of the settings as well. So eating out, under the eating out forum group, we've got a new forum called restaurants, so we can go in and have a look at restaurants, and somebody's created a topic in there. We can see how many views it's had, who the latest post was from, and go in and take a look at it. So just simply click onto the link, and there's a topic created by Phil. And yeah, this is a fairly fancy restaurant in London. I don't know if anybody online is from London, but this is at the very top of the Gherkin building, and yeah, I've never been to it. I don't know whether I can afford to go to it, but I would love to go to it. You have a complete view of London from the top there. So I might mention that. So somebody's recommended this as a restaurant, so I can reply to that post, or I can reply with a quote. Now, if I reply with a quote, then the message I'm responding to is going to be embedded within my response. So that makes it easier when people are reading the thread, so they can see whether I'm replying to the original poster or whether I'm replying to one of the other replies. So quick response here. There we go. So we've created a reply. Notice we've got full rich text in here, so we can put motion icons, we can insert video, we can insert images, and those images can be uploaded, or they can be linked to an image library. You've also got the ability to paste in from plain text or Word and keep your formatting and that sort of thing as well. We also have tags, and this can be configured to work with managed metadata in the term store if you use the enterprise version, or if you don't use the enterprise version, Social Squared has its own way of tracking the tags as well. So notice we've got the tag cloud web part here, so I could also tag that reply. So when I post, the word gherkin should get a little bit bigger, so we can see that that's been used more than once. Okay, you have the ability to attach files, also to select document library items, that sort of thing. Other than that, I'm just going to hit post, and that will create my post. So there we go. There's my my reply to it. Okay, so again, it makes it fairly obvious what I'm responding to. So also in there, this might be something that I want other users to see. So again, if you use the newsfeed within SharePoint, I could post that on my newsfeed so other people can see that I find this interesting and attract people to the Social Squared tool. If somebody used something abusive in their reply, then as any user, I could go through and report abuse, and that report would go through to the moderator, and you can set up a moderator for each forum or forum group. The moderator would then have the ability to either remove that topic or amend that topic within the forum. So you have the reply with quote and the reply. Because I'm logged in as the administrator, I can also edit it, but each user can edit their own topics. Obviously, just a reader can't. We can also mark something as the answer as well. So in a moment, we'll have a look at the tech support forum. That's a great place for marking something as an answer. So if somebody asked a straightforward question, what do I click on to get this? And somebody gave me the exact answer I was looking for, we could mark that as the answer, and that would imply to other users that they don't need to go through and reply to my post anymore. Or we've also got the mark as featured. So let's click that for the reply. So if we mark that as featured, notice that this has now become highlighted, and what we can do is filter out all of the featured posts when we're reading them. So at the top here, we've got the featured posts, which means strip out everything else and just show the featured ones, and we can toggle that back to showing all of the posts. So there's only one reply to this particular one at the moment, which is why you didn't see any change there. Okay, and the last one, obviously, we can delete the post if that's something that we created or if you're the moderator. You can also rate it. So we have the ratings across the top here, so we can rate the topic there. You can change the sort order, so chronological, or we can also sort by the author as well. Along the top, so you can download all of the posts as a zip file. That's a way of, if you wanted to make this a record, like in a record center or something, you could do that. We can delete the entire topic, again, if you're the person that created the original topic, or you're a moderator or administrator. You can also move the topic. So if this was posted in the wrong place, and I'll show you an example of this in a moment, you could move the topic into a different forum and put it into a more sensible place. We can lock it. So if we've already received all the answers that we were after, or somebody's answered the question that we raised correctly, we can lock the topic so nobody else can reply anymore. And we can also make it sticky, which means it's going to appear at the very top of this forum. So anybody else creating great places to eat are going to appear underneath this one. This is the coolest place you can eat in London, I'm sure. The last option there is to subscribe users. Now you can subscribe users to several different places. When you create a forum group, you can subscribe users. We can subscribe users to a forum, and we can also subscribe users to a topic. So when we subscribe a user, they are going to receive emails when somebody posts or replies within that area, and they can read that post or they can read that reply, and they can then reply to it via their email. So they don't have to come back into SharePoint and log in. They can just simply reply to the email, and that will in turn create a response to the topic or the reply within Social Squared. Okay, so that's some of the different options as far as a user is concerned when they're creating some different topics and replying to them and so on. All right, so with that in mind, let's go through and have a look at how we can configure some of this stuff as well. So for that, I'm going to just jump into another Social Squared instance. So this is on a technical support page. So we've got a technical support or several different technical support forum groups. One called SharePoint Technical Group, one called Support Tickets, and we've also got SharePoint. So anybody that's into SharePoint will probably realize that there's also a SharePoint at night whenever there's a SharePoint event of any form. So what we're going to do is go through and create a new forum group. So what I'd like to do is simply go into the site settings here, and under the forum groups, these are all the available forum groups. Now notice there we've got food and drink, New Zealand, electronics, there's SharePoint, there's support tickets and so on. And what we do for each one is specify which forum groups we want to display in each area. So if I was to simply edit the web part on the London office page, we can hit the drop down, go to edit web part, and pick and choose which forum groups are most relevant to this page. So that way we're seeing the dynamic content as you go from site to site. So if I wanted to include something in it like food or drink, in fact let's choose drink, and we can OK that, and we'll hit save and close, and upon doing so we can see that the drink forum group is now displayed inside this team site as well. So what we're going to do is go through and create a new forum group. So we'll click on to add forum group, and we'll call this Microsoft Dynamics. So we've got the forum group created, and here we can view the forums with inside that forum group. Of course there aren't any yet, so we'll add a new forum, and we'll have this as Dynamics browser support questions. Let's just copy paste that for my description. So I'll add that as a forum, and we'll also add another forum as well for Dynamics Outlook client questions. And once more we'll copy and paste that in there. So we've got a couple of new forums, and here we can subscribe users to them. I'm going to edit the properties of each one. So if we're asking technical questions, one thing we might want to do is allow voting. So we can allow voting, and people can vote what they think is the most appropriate answer. We can also allow attachments if we want to. So that would allow any form of Word or Excel attachment, that sort of thing in there. I'll show you another area of the settings where we can go and limit what attachments can be made, and also limit the file sizes. We can allow linking to SharePoint document library items. So we could, if you wanted to, take out the allow attachments, force people to use document libraries instead, and that way they're getting those full capabilities of document libraries, such as checking in and checking out their content, that sort of thing. We've got the notify poster option. So the original poster of a topic will automatically be subscribed to that topic, and then we'll receive notifications should people reply. You have the featured posts, which you can turn on and turn off. We also have the ability to allow permissions to be configured, and that includes allowing people to post anonymously as well. So perhaps you have a forum that says, what do you think of your manager? And we all know what sort of replies you're going to get if you're allowed to leave your name when you reply. Everybody's going to think your manager is great. If they can post anonymously, then you might get some more honest answers. So that's the sort of thing we could set up here. We could allow authenticated users to post anonymously if they want to. So do we want them to actually create topics anonymously, or do we just want them to be able to reply anonymously, and so on? So there's some of the different options that you can set. We can also allow anonymous posters. So if you have a public-facing site and you wanted people to be able to post anonymously, then you could do that. They don't necessarily have to be authenticated at all. And then we also have some security that you can set up here as well. So you can completely block people from having permissions to view a forum group. You've got the ability to force read, or force contributors, or set up moderators and administrators. This is over and above the SharePoint team site security. So anybody that is already perhaps if they have contribute or edit permission levels inside SharePoint, then that means they can actually go through and create topics inside Social Squared. But we've had customers that want to be able to set that in stone and literally set the different users independently of the team site that can create topics and so on, and that's why the options are there. So we'll hit update. That's created that that forum. Let's navigate back to the page. So let's see. So under the tick support, I now want to make those available. So we'll go through and edit the web part page, edit the web part, and in here we have the Microsoft Dynamics forum group. So we're going to select that and click on OK. All right, so so in there that's now appeared. So we've got Microsoft Dynamics, we've got the Dynamics browser support questions, and the Dynamics Outlook client questions. So let's go in there, and now we can go through and add a topic. Okay, so we've posted a question in there, and we can start to list some tags, and let's create that post. All right, so so very simple. We've created that topic now. Okay, so with that in mind, let's have a look at some of the other settings as well. So we'll jump back to site settings. Let's have a look at some of the other options in here. So under forum settings, this is going to apply to all of the forums. So we'll just pick out a few of the different options. So we can set the maximum upload size, which is useful if people are creating attachments. So you can specify the number of bytes that you're going to allow, and also the file types that people can upload also. Personally, I would disable the attachments and have them link to document library items, but that's up to you. We've got the voting as well, so you can use arrows up and down or thumbs up and down. You've got the ability to allow forms-based authentication, so users can register via that. And if they do register to use Social Squared using forms-based authentication, then you could also do things like enable the capture forms to prove that they're human beings and that sort of thing as well. Sorting and post numbering and things like that are just small refinements. As we scroll down, there's a few things that are useful, like the moderator highlighting, so you can see who the moderator is within inside a forum. The tags, do you want to use Social Squared as a tag store, or do you want to use the enterprise term store? And then we've also got things like the profile settings. Do you want to use Social Squared for your user profiles, or do you want to use the My Site? So you can use the SharePoint My Site as well and get the profile information from there. We can enable reply via email. So in order for that to work, you basically set up an email address for your forum group, and that can be any Exchange or POP SMTP email address. So once that's configured, you can create topics via email, and you can also reply to them via email as well. So to create a topic via email, you just put the name of the forum group in brackets, the name of the subject then follows that, and then the body, of course, becomes the actual topic itself. So that's possible, and we've also got terms and conditions that readers or visitors to the forums can read and accept before being allowed to use it, and then the user reputation scores. So in here we've got a few different levels. We can add additional badges if we want to. These currently point to little tiny badges, but if you wanted to point them to pints of beer or little tickets, whatever you want to do, you can use an image and point to it. And specify how many points people get for creating a post, how many they get for voting a post up, and also how many points they get for marking something as the answer. And then based on the number of points that they have, you can specify what level they are at and how many badges they are awarded. So quite a few useful settings in there. We've got the Windows Phone settings as well, so you can configure that for the mobile phone, so people can create topics, reply to topics using the Windows Phone app. We've also got the email template here. So this is the email that will be sent to each user. So you've got phrases that you can pick up from the topic itself and include those in the body of the actual email. So that's some of the different configuration settings that we've got. Let's just jump back to tech support here. Just a few of the other features we'll take a look at. So I should be able to show you that I'm currently logged in as two different users. Let's just switch users for a moment. So we're going to log in as Phil. And here we are on the tech support page as Phil. Okay, so so that's the tech support page for Phil, and what we're going to do is just log back in as the previous user, and we'll send an instant message. So Social Squared becomes a great place for using instant messaging as well. So through the chat facility, that's something you can turn on and turn off. We can see other users that are online. We can also message them and so on. So I am presenting in the webinar. Here's something I could post to him on the tech support page. And so when Phil visits the tech support page, he will see that message pop up. So once again, we'll just switch to Phil. Okay, and that message box has appeared. So it's popped up. It would have popped up for Phil as soon as he was sent the message, and he can move that around and keep that on the page and respond back and so on. Okay, so so great instant messaging as well. All the history is kept there, so you can go back and view that at any point. So there is instant messaging. That's something that you can turn off because obviously there's other tools that do that, like Link and so on as well. So if you wanted to use Link instead, then of course you've got that to use. Each user also has under Forum Tools a profile, so they can set their profile information in here. So they've got a signature, they can upload a photo, that sort of thing, and you can also follow other users. So I'll be able to see who's following me, and I can simply click onto another user and follow them as well. So if we wanted to go through and let's just go into this SharePoint development topic that Phil has created. So if I want to chat with Phil, I can just click onto the link there again, or if I want to see Phil's profile, I can click onto Phil and start following him. That way, any topics or replies that Phil creates are going to appear in my news feed, and I'll be able to track what Phil's up to through that. You can also manage your subscriptions from here as well. So if you are subscribed to a particular topic, you can choose whether you get those replies weekly or immediately or daily. So there's a timer job that takes care of those notifications and will flag them up for you. Okay, and I think the final bit to mention is the fact that we've got the search there. So you can search for a topic. If I wanted to look for a particular word, so that's in the wrong one. Let's just go to this social site up here, where there's lots of food that we can discuss. So we'll search for the word steak. Hopefully you've not eaten yet, and this will whet your appetite. But we can go through and see some topics and posts all about the word steak. They can be refined based on date, by author, and so on. If we go into the top topic here, there we are. We can see a post all about steak and see all the different replies to what people thought about that steak recipe and so on. So there's some of the voting that's been taking place. So we can see that this one's been voted up. We can see there's one marked as featured, and so on and so forth. And if I wanted to mark one as the answer, I could do that as well. Okay, so we've got the search as well. If you wanted to integrate this with enterprise search, then you can. We provide a BDC model file that allows you to import that into search so people can search Social Squared content via the search center also. And of course, we've also got the tag cloud that allows people to navigate. So if we click onto the word gherkin, that's going to, in fact, that's not been configured for just this forum group. So let's just try something else. Let's go to pork, for example. And so we can find a recipe on pork and so on. Okay, so great way of navigating through that. Here's the most popular discussion as well, so we can see a discussion in there, and as we hover over it, we can see all the different replies that people have made to that post. All right, so at that point, I'm going to open up for any questions that anybody might have. So again, feel free to raise your hand, which you can do using the GoToWebinar software, or if you prefer, you can email or tweet, and I'll answer your question just here. Okay, so yeah, I'm not seeing any questions. All right, so just to mention once again, the webinar has been recorded. It's going to be posted up this evening on YouTube. So if you go to youtube.com, search for the Lightning Tools channel, you'll be able to see this webinar along with a number of other webinars as well. But other than that, I want to thank everybody for attending. I hope you found it useful.